Good evening and welcome to the Town of Raymond Budget Finance Committee Workshop. I'm calling the meeting to order. And the topic of the discussion is the FY25-26 budget. I wanted to give an opportunity to the committee to have a chance to go over the developments from the meeting that the select board had last night, going over the warrant articles that are going out. So is there anyone that would like to start? Is there, an idea of how we'd like to go through the workshop? Would you like to go down through the warrant articles as the select board did last night? Or is there anything in particular that a topic that anyone would like to discuss?
We're still going to have is it the April 1st meeting where we'll be going over the
Yes.
warrant articles like the selectmen did last night?
Correct.
So if we're going to do that April 1st, maybe this should be just a general discussion.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, I don't know.
I agree.
Unless there was something that you feel like,
Right, if there was something in the
Something
articles that
urgent.
you wanted to discuss.
really, I think, my comments to Frank yesterday was, for the selectmen, it started out slow, and there was almost a time where it seemed like it was going to be held off on. And then I just really appreciate Frank's comments when he kind of came up and said, I think all department heads are really doing the best they can to keep this budget down. And once Frank made those comments, it just like sliced through the rest of the night, which I really appreciate, because I do believe the comments were true and accurate. Because when I was sitting there at first, I was like, this needs a little bit more time. But I'm glad they got through it yesterday, and I know there's going to be a couple of adjustments on a couple of things, but I guess my comments I was pretty satisfied as a whole from yesterday, leaving.
I would agree. I think that the department heads have worked really hard to try and provide the services for the residents of Raymond to meet the needs of what the community needs.
Aaron,
Yes, Frank.
I'd like to ask Chief Tupper a question.
Okay.
Make a recommendation, I guess, instead of a question. Is there any chance you could get together with the gentleman in the back and make a 8-minute video explaining why a ladder truck is not just for fighting a fire that's in a 2 or 3 story building? Because I think 80% of the need for that truck has nothing to do with putting out a fire in a 3-story building.
Correct.
And I think the public needs to know that, because I think the first question people have when they say you're buying a ladder truck, we don't have any buildings that need a ladder truck, because we really don't know how you fight fires.
Right.
And we don't realize the intricacies of what happens when you're in that situation. And I think an explanation, 8 minutes, I think would do the world of good for us when we're going to have that particular article for the ladder truck.
Excellent, yes. Yeah, that's a good plan. We can do that.
I think your explanations of how your lack of manpower is one of the issues in protecting the firefighters you have from injury. Your explanation of that I got really loud and clear. So make sure you expand on that in that video. It would be very helpful for the public.
Perfect, thank you.
And most of the things will resonate with the town when you say lack of staff and that kind of thing. I think that should be a worry to the town that our fire safety is lacking the correct manpower, and you're trying to use this truck to compensate for that.
Definitely.
But I would like the town to know that this truck isn't just like Frank said. It's more than just having a long ladder.
Exactly.
Chris?
I have another comment, just to expand on what Sean said about Frank's comments last night. I think it's really important for the public to know that under our control, as either the selectmen or the Budget Finance Committee, the town can only work with that 25% or that rough number of the pie. The rest of it, the school and the county taxes are something that we can't change. The only thing we can change is our budget and how we proceed with it. But to his point, the fact that we've been, over the many years I've been involved with budgeting here, it's more of a bare bones needs budget, no frills, no extras, and we've done that for so long. His point that we're doing a disservice to the public because we're not providing the services that we could, because we try to keep that tax rate and the mill rate down enough so that it isn't so painful. And that's really hard to do when you're only dealing with 25% of the pie.
Sue's comments, I think, were accurate when she said we've been limping along, and now we're beyond limping now.
And you can kick that can down the road for so long, and then sometimes it catches up. And I think that we've avoided a lot of things, and departments really need things.
I know that there's a lot of pressure put on the selectmen as they do the budget. Not necessarily from a lot of people, but there are people who really make it well known that they want taxes to be as low as they possibly can. And over a period of time, they've done that. I mean, and that's not a knock on what they've done. It's just that it's the way we've always done it here in Raymond. You know, it's, we really need to look at what we're doing and not use the county tax and the, you know, the school as the reason why we can't do things. We can do things. We just got to explain to the public what we're doing and why we're doing it and why they will benefit from what we're going to be doing. I think most people want this town to be a leading town in the Lake region. There's no reason we couldn't be a leading town in the Lake region. We don't have the problems Wyndham has with all of the negativity of doing all of the commercial work for the entire area. We really could attract a lot of people to Raymond again because we are a premier place in the Lake region.
I think we are attracting a lot of people, with people moving from the west coast to the east coast and from areas that have had the climate change and the different weather patterns changes. Raymond is a very hot spot. I see it more probably than anybody, the houses that are being bought in the lake region on all of our lakes. I don't know how many of you know this, but we have 65 miles of shoreline. That is a lot of shorefront. And the trend for the last couple of years is a lot of these subdivisions have filled up, but we're still not slowing down in this economy now because people are buying homes on the lakes, tearing them down or remodeling them and spending millions of dollars. It's not hundreds of thousands, it's in the millions. And we're seeing that on all of our lakes, Thomas Pond, Crescent Lake, Panther Pond, and particularly Sebago Lake, the Cape. And I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
I know this is not so much comments for what we're discussing, but I just have a fear that Raymond's going to be unattainable to the first-time buyers. I know the ADUs were supposed to help with that, but you know, even that, once we cross that path as far as regulating them or how we want to do that, the intention of LD 2003 was to attract more people to our area. But I really think that Raymond, and it's not Raymond's fault, but Raymond will be unattainable for a younger generation coming in.
That's true if we continue doing what we're doing. There's no doubt about that. But there are towns and cities out there now looking at different ways to put up housing that is affordable. And I think we have to look at some of those ways that we can put affordable housing in the town because we need those people. We need young people who are first-time house buyers to come to the Raymond area and hopefully over time move up. But I think the town has some responsibility to look at different ways that we can be making it possible for, you know, developers to put up those kinds of houses. There are developers that want to put up those kinds of houses because they know they'll sell. They know they'll get their money back quickly. And I think as a town, we really need to work with those people to see that it happens. There's plenty of space in Raymond. There's no doubt about that. It's not lack of space. I think it's a lack of imagination that holds us back. I can remember back in the 70s when the Back to the Land movement struck Raymond, and Raymond became the fastest growing town in all of the Lake region. I mean, we had people coming here out of Portland, we had people coming from, I can't tell you. I don't know how many lawyer farmers we had for a while who were raising pigs and chickens and then heading to the courthouse in Portland after they did their chores. But a lot of those people stuck around. They really did, and I think we need to attract those kind of people again. People who are willing to have that pioneer spirit.
Chris, do you know if there have been any applications for ADUs
Yes.
in Raymond?
We've seen an increase in the ADUs, particularly since we went from 700 square feet to 1,250. That's a good size. That's like a small cape of livable space. 1,250 is a good size home. It's taken a little while to catch on, but as people find out that they have that option, there's many people that don't have enough land to do a duplex or to split their lot and make 2 lots because they're just missing. But if you have the ADU, it allows them to do the ADU and then still get some income off the property to allow them to stay in Raymond, to your point. And I think that's going to be a very big thing in the next year or two. People taking advantage of that.
Chris, do you think it would be a good idea if maybe your department ran a program where you could introduce this concept to the
Well, we don't have a
general
program,
public?
Frank, but everybody that comes into the office that is asking about buying a property or what they can do with their property, we're throwing that out, and we're educating the public. And once one person knows, you know he's talking to several other people, so it won't take long to catch on, Frank.
Okay.
Do you have an idea of what the number is of how many?
No, I would
So-
say probably this year, we've probably done half a dozen already, and I'm thinking that that's going to really pick up with the spring. As soon as the warm weather comes, we start getting more and more people in the office. That started last week.
Okay.
Which should also help the revenue side of code enforcement.
So then, speaking about the 25-26 budget, just remind me, so this 4.5% that the budget that is increasing on, and there are a couple, just remind me, there are a couple of numbers that were inaccurate from last night where this number will change again, or is this pretty much where we're gonna land? I think there was, I forget what it was, I don't want to misspeak, I know striping was one of them, where it was like a zero had fallen off, and I know that's
Yes.
probably not gonna be a huge thing, but there was a couple other things. Just curious if that 4.5% is gonna go 4.6, or if it's, you know, if it's relatively close to that 4.5%. Because I really think that's probably the best we're gonna do anyway, despite, you know, despite the costs of everything. Sir, we don't have anybody that could answer that question, to be honest, I don't think.
I felt very comfortable for the most part with last night's meeting. I think they did a good job in trying to do what needed to be done, and over the course of the evening, I got to feel that we have a fairly good budget.
Okay.
I don't have much more comments. I mean, we had set up this meeting just to see what happened yesterday, but also because we were anticipating that the auditor might come tonight. So really, everything got. Yesterday was a heavier night as far as putting those things together. So I'm satisfied with everything, I would say.
I'm satisfied. Anybody else have any other questions or concerns that, or discussion?
Dawn?
Don?
I think it would be good if somebody could give an overview of the auditor's presentation as it relates to the town's financial management system and structure. There was a concern expressed that there were, significant defects, and, watching last night, I wasn't in the room, but, my assessment is that that is not the case, and so that's really good news. And so I was wondering if somebody would recapitulate that, possibly. Or maybe that's enough, I don't know.
I would just comment that I was comfortable after the auditors spoke that there was some things mentioned here at some of the meetings that there may be some underlying thing that was missing or something inappropriate done, and that doesn't seem to be the case at all. It seems like the budget had some issues because of high turnover, but all in all, I think the town has correctly done the books, and that's satisfied me. And I think there was no reflection on multiple years. It was basically that one year that the auditor could speak to, and her assistant hadn't worked with that budget. Neither one of them had in the past, or didn't have any big concerns. So I felt comfortable with that whole presentation by the auditors and the questions that they answered. I was satisfied.
I agree.
It was a relief.
Yes, agree.
I'm waiting to see the report before I make a statement one way or another. I thought there was a lot of dancing going on. That was my take on it. I didn't hear anything that alarmed me, but I didn't hear any real answers either.
I would say it was a confirmation more than a relief. I mean, the audit reports have been clean, the management letters have been good, and so the idea was that we'd had a number of years where we didn't have that case, and so that's really speaks for itself, and we can put it behind us now.
I feel I was under the impression that it was several years. I feel like I got that impression that there was going to be issues from several years back, and that wasn't the case. So that was my, like Chris had said, it was just this past year due to, whatever, turnover or whatever.
High turnover, and it takes a while for people to catch up in any position. I don't care what department it is. You just don't walk in and understand everything. So there's a learning curve, and I think their explanation of that helped me a lot.
Agree. Okay. Anything else?
Are we taking other general concerns?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a concern in the area of the CIP. I really liked the suggestion that several select board members made about having a knowledgeable third-party review of capital equipment before it's put into the CIP. Now, we're not going to be able to do anything this year, but next year it would be great if we did that across all the departments. I think the chief, deputy chief, the public safety department did a great job in substantiating the need for the ladder truck. The technology department, Kevin Woodbury, the same. And so I'd like to see every department that has major capital improvement, whether it be capital equipment or general improvements, do the same thing. So specifically, I think Public Works is one where we have a ton of expenditures and equipment. And so I really love that suggestion. I think it should be universal across all departments. And so we can have a good idea and be knowledgeable before we build that CIP as to whether the equipment is ready for replacement, needs replacement. And over time, we probably can get a better feel for the frequency of replacement. Different towns have different ideas on how long things last. And, the debate over the, whatever it was, 20-year-old fire truck really put that in focus for me. It's in my view, probably shouldn't have been that much of a debate, but it was. And so, but I think something good came out of it, and that is the idea that, we should hold all the departments accountable for the replacement of capital equipment. And a good way to do it would be the way that was suggested, I think, by the Board of Selectmen, to get somebody in here, take a look at it, assess it, value it, and so we have an idea of what, just exactly what we're replacing. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Well, that will be one of the goals for the Budget Committee, is to put together a formal CIP plan so that we will be able to address the CIP plan next year through the budget deliberations. I don't think that's something that we're going to get to this year, for this cycle.
Karen?
Yes.
Yeah. Did everybody get a copy of what I sent you? And I sent it to everybody, I think. Because I
Yes,
was trying to do what you're saying, is project out based on into service, end of life, and put some flexibility in there. Did everybody get that cover letter and the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Yes. And I also sent it forward to the Select Board, too, so that they would have it. So thank you, Kevin, for doing that. Appreciate that.
I
Does
mean, that's
anyone?
the typical thing that I've done, that we've had to do in lots of places I've worked before, larger corporations, and I try to, build that in.
Kevin, where are we on the fiber right now?
The fiber will be probably starting to work on early this spring, the ring. I'm not sure, it'll probably take most of the summer to get that in place, and then I would assume, hopefully by the fall, he'll start to build out to the residents.
Any idea whether they're going to start with that?
I wish I knew, because I'd like to get mine hooked up as soon as possible. No, we have a meeting tomorrow with an update from all the towns, the CoLab meeting, and he'll probably have more information then. I know they're moving along quite well over in the town of Sebago, and the way he's implemented his building, I don't know if anybody's followed that, is typically a vendor comes in and they do the cabling for the fiber and do the terminations on site. He orders the fibers pre-terminated at specific lengths, so that he just hangs them on the poles and they are already terminated, and it's much, much faster implementation. And it's directly from Corning. They do an analysis of the exact distances between poles and houses and drops, and they're all pre-terminated, which is, and I've done a lot of fiber terminations. I mean, it saves a ton of time doing it that way.
All right. Thank you.
One more comment about last night's meeting at the Selectmen's meeting. There was a good presentation by RTP on the van that they're suggesting we use for picking up people and taking them to appointments. And that was very well explained. I had a little reservation about it, but after I heard that you can try it out and go month to month, it kind of convinced me that maybe we should try it and give it a month or two and see how it's working, and then we can decide whether we want to continue it. So we wouldn't have to obligate to that big number of 67 added to the other funds that we give RTP. So it was very educational for me. Thought they did a good job.
I'd like to see us string it out at least 6 months so that we can see how the numbers are increasing, because the first couple of months, a lot of people won't know about it. They really won't. It'll take a while for it to catch on, but I think within 6 months we'll know exactly how many people will be using it. I can't believe people will not be using it. In fact, it's a terrific resource.
Don?
I also think it was a great initiative. I wish there had been more, publicity, ramp up, due diligence, and information. I think it's going to be more popular than perhaps we can handle with that budget, and that's a good thing, I guess, and we'll figure out how to fund it. But so I'm very much in favor of it. I just wish there had been more development. I guess that will come as we do it on the fly. But I also think we have an obligation to the folks who are, in the position where they don't have reliable transportation or don't have transportation at all, to fund the Lake Region bus. I can't say that enough. That's a baseline service. This is an extra layer service, so it kind of, in my way of thinking, doing it the opposite of what we should do. Both are good things, but we should fund the bus along with this new van service. And I guess that didn't happen, but I think it's of the utmost importance that it happens.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I was thinking, I was reading over this article, because I know that the article is going to get switched. I felt a little funny about the $12,000 in the past we didn't want to spend, but we're now looking at a $67,000 thing, so I just felt a little bit weird about that. After hearing the presentation, I think the van service is probably going to be much more of a better service than maybe the bus is. But I felt weird when a comment was made, well, we could use the van service to drop somebody off at Casco or Wyndham to take the bus. I just kind of felt like, hey, those two things, I mean, we were kind of, we didn't like a $12,000 thing, but we're going to fund a $67,000 thing. And I was like, at that point, like, I think they both should be funded. If I feel a little bit weird about dropping that bus service off. I still do. And maybe it's not beneficial to our town, which is totally fine. But I like the van better, but I still am wondering if people need to go to Portland, we're still missing that.
Yeah.
To me, this is an equity issue. I'm with you, Sean. If you're taking the van and you're going to Wyndham or Casco and dropping it off at their stop that they're funding, that's an inequitable solution, and you may be able to do it, but every other town along the 302 corridor contributes and has contributed. Raymond really needs to get with it and be a participant, be a partner, be a town that does the right thing, I guess is what I would say with respect to the bus. And the right thing would be to fund it and make it available for people who need it. And I hear these anecdotal arguments about there's only X number of people using it. We certainly could publicize it. We could make it easier to use. I mean, the van's going to do that. You're going to have the van that can take people to it. That was one of the arguments, was that people can't access it. So now they can. And, I'm back to where I've always been on it. And now I can actually say how I feel about it. And I feel strongly that we need to fund it.
Well, I think that
next
the van is a niche for local transportation right in and around Raymond. And I'm leaning more towards seeing how this microtransit service will work. And from there, we can judge whether or not we need to go with the bus and see if that's really a necessary thing or not. I think if we just get people to around Raymond or down to Wyndham to do their shopping, then we can assess that situation after.
I know I'm not part of the committee, but I think they're complementary services. I don't think you can have one without the other. I mean, it's a feeder system. So you need to get from the outlying areas of Raymond to the bus stop, in addition to going to Wyndham, which you may just use the smaller microtransit. But a lot of people like to go to Portland, and to get to that transportation system, you need to have the bus. And I think, like I said, they're very complementary, and I don't see how you do it without having them both.
Okay, Cliff?
Yeah, and I like the presentation. The van fills an important piece, but I also agree that we ought to be doing the bus, because the van is what, 9 a.m.? So that means anybody who's trying to go to work in Portland can't go, and the bus does go early enough with its 4 trips a day, so people can go to work and can come back on the bus. And that van time is pretty crunched. It meets a need. I'm not saying that, but it's more of it's a local need. It's take care of you around the house type stuff.
Yep.
And if it turns out to be a really good thing for the town of Raymond, we could expand the hours next year. I mean, if there's a need to expand the hours, we'll expand the hours. But I agree also that you need both. I mean, it's inequitable for everybody else to fund it, and we take advantage of it. So, I mean, it's just it's a matter of morals.
Don?
I just had a citizen inquiry on my phone, and it was about the historical requests for the bus expenditures. Did we ever get that? I may be a little behind because I've had to go to the town office. And
We
get
did
my handout.
request that. We requested at our last meeting, I believe, on the 11th, for the town manager to provide us with the numbers for the last 5 years, and I don't believe we got that.
Okay, well, that's what I had said back to the citizen,
Oh,
but I confirm it.
Yeah,
Okay, Teresa, go ahead.
I'm the one that sent it to you guys because I'm the one that was making calls.
Can you,
I didn't see it.
Can't hear her.
she's coming.
She's going up to the podium.
There was an email that was sent to Rolf that was then sent, hold on a second, I'm sorry, requesting budget. Give me a minute to look for it.
Okay.
But it had the numbers and.
I never saw it, did you? Did you ever see it?
While you're looking, Teresa, I want to thank you for putting all that time and effort into this project.
Thank you.
Yes.
Here, I think, this is the quick ride or?
Town of Raymond. Okay, that's the quick ride. There was a couple things that they attached all together. And I know that we had talked at our meeting too about the information that said it pretty much rounded down to 0.7/8 of a human on the run. Back and forth is what it is. He gave me the numbers back to requested information. What? I thought it was printed out. It was like 500 and some. There's 4 runs a day. Let me look on the one I sent actually to Rolf. Questions about the budget letter. Last night's meeting. Okay. So sorry. There's a lot of conversations between us. Because one of the things I did ask him that you guys wanted the information back for 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cost is $12,000 a year, not $10,000. And
So I am seeing an email that was sent from Sue Look on 3/11. It might just be my phone, but when I click on anything, it says there's no attachments for it. It's just a
311.
it's just a logo.
Please forward to Budget Finance and Select Board is what Rolf said.
Yeah. So I don't think that the attachment got to us. The
It was-
email got to us, but I don't have an attachment.
Right. I have in my notes from 3/5,
Do you have it?
RTP need numbers from.
Okay, wait a minute, I know I have it because he was emailing me, so let me,
So Donald Libby emailed you, Teresa, on March 10th.
on March 10th?
And it says, Teresa, I've attached our proposal for the quick ride service. Right? Is this, am I looking at, Don Libby is,
Yes.
that's the
that is-
van?
That is,
Okay.
that is the quick ride, though. It's not the us.
Okay. So then that doesn't help you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, if you guys look under your provider agencies,
I don't know where they put it because it was
Okay, well, that's where I have mine, and I know. Do you have like a letter dated March 6, 2025? And it'd be RTP. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
RTP, March 6, 2025.
Yes.
Writing informally requests financial support. You've got fiscal year 10/1/2019 through 9/30/2020. Riders boarding in Raymond 523. providers exiting Raymond 501. That's what you meant?
Yes. And you've got to take those numbers, and what I did is I ended up calling Ralph, because when it comes to my math, forget it. Because you got to break it down to how many days they're open. And if you look on the other side, it talks about how many trips there are. So we were trying to figure that all out, but once you break it down, out of so many days a year, because it goes for a year, it's maybe one rider per, out of 4 trips a day. Half, yeah, like a half, it's like a 0.48 person, so. So taking all that and breaking that all down, that's what they end up finding. There was not any information for 23-24 or 24-25. So, because we hadn't done it.
Then, yeah, we didn't do it for 2023.
If I can say too, Don Libby, when I was talking to him on the phone, he was pushing for us to go with that not here at our last meeting, but on the telephone, to go and do that bus also. But I told him I was one of the ones that was strongly against the bus because we wanted him to come talk to us. And he's newly elected in there also. And I said the biggest issue is trying to get people at their homes to the stop, to where they need to go. And that bus was not doing it. It came in, boom, and go. Last night in the meeting, he did come out and say, he goes, you know what? I don't think the bus is the right thing for you right now, but this microservice is. So he even came out last night knowing what we were looking for and stuff like that last night. And I mean, again, it's something we can look at later, because I know like a friend of mine that is looking to get into Wyndham maybe a little earlier with a job, you know what I mean, that they're working on. But it's a start. It's getting to people.
Well, it sounds like there's no hard feeling. I mean, it's nice to know that Don Libby does both. So
He is a good guy to work with. He really is.
sounds like
He's
there's
a
no
really
hard
good guy.
feelings as far as, like what he was saying, if it's the right thing for the town,
Right.
maybe the van. But I'm still kind of leaning towards doing both of them. And then maybe the bus, maybe he's right. Maybe the bus doesn't fit our needs. But with the van providing that service, then maybe that might give us some extra data. Because if we do the van and we do this and these numbers are the same that you had mentioned with the 0.5 person, then maybe it doesn't make sense.
Well, right. And one of the other things, too, that he mentioned, he said to me on the phone, and he did say at the meeting last night, was, I think it was Yarmouth, they have 3 stops. And what's happening is they have like 1 stop that they're stopping all the time there, and there's not anybody there. So that's extra time that they're taking, have to stop, do. And he goes, and maybe what happens is either going to Wyndham or going to Casco right now, it puts more people in that 1 spot for people to pick up.
Right. Thank you, Teresa.
If it's a dying service, it's a dying service. I don't know. But I still like to give it one last shot if possible.
Okay. Any other concerns? Okay. Are we good?
I'm good.
Ready to adjourn? Unless there's any other comments, I think we'll just adjourn. Motion, well, we're not going to vote, no motions, it's a workshop, so, all right.
We'll
We're-
just meet again and go over the warrant articles. at the
Yes,
Meeting.
April 1st.
And we'll have a little time to digest what we've
Yes.
received recently. Good.
Good. All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you, we are adjourned.